Some game masters lead a table. Others inhabit a world so fully, you forget it's a game. Chrstian Stenzel is one of those rare DMs or GMs who can drop you into a dungeon and make you forget you're still sitting at a table in your friend's basement. A featured player in Roll for Togetherness, Chrstian brings a unique blend of tactical clarity, comedic timing, and narrative depth to every game he runs. Whether it's a last-minute NPC built on a weird voice or a campaign arc inspired by a single forgotten line of lore, his worlds feel lived in, unpredictable, and undeniably fun. In this episode, we talk about character creation, table culture, the fine art of coaxing new players out of their shell, and how to keep a game moving without losing its soul. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Roll for Togetherness podcast, a podcast about a documentary about a game that everyone plays. All right, my name is Chris Moreland. Today I am joined by my guest, Chrstian Stenzel. He is in the documentary Roll for Togetherness. He shows up several times in Philadelphia, shows up while we're playing games in Savannah with David Johnson. And then, of course, he visited with us while we were up in the Chicagoland area and very graciously and ran a game for us, even with a cat going missing in between, and we had the side quest away from it. So welcome to the show, Chrstian. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're welcome, man. And so the reason I ask you is because you have this really, really excellent ability to tell a story and then role play at the same time, which made it a lot of fun to be in a game where you were the DM. And so I'm just going to jump right into it. As someone who is in my opinion, after seeing a lot of DMs and a lot of game masters, a very high quality one. What are your expectations? What do you think the players' expectations are for a dungeon master who can deliver that high quality type of material?
Well, I feel like it's a very broad question because I feel like a lot of people come into games wanting different things out of it. I think
Right.
finding a DM that fits what you want is really important. For me, like when I'm a player, I definitely really like DMs that kind of put in the extra effort for like that role play aspect and kind of transporting you into the world instead of kind of that more. I do really like the tactical side of things, like kind of the wargaming aspect of kind of like the early editions of D&D, but definitely like if I'm doing like 5e or something, it's definitely like a DM that can really get into the role play and make you feel like you're actually like in this world going on this adventure.
Sure. So you're saying that it's really think about the type of game that you enjoy playing, and then like kind of put out a call generally to the public that says, "Hey, I like this type of game. Is there anyone who does it?" Is that something that you've done in the past?
Uh Yeah, it's definitely something that I see other people do. Facebook is a really good way to find either DMs or players if you're looking for them. That's how I met DJ. That's how I met him and playing his games, which are always super fun. But there's always somebody looking for the same thing that you're looking for.
Yeah, no, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I played in some of DJ's games as well, and they're a blast. And me being a person who likes the kind of whimsy and the silliness that you get with it, but I also like some of the competitiveness that you do get with like AD&D because there's a good chance you're going to die when you play that game, right? And so a very good chance, like
Oh yeah.
better than not dying, type of chance, and right. And so it's a lot of fun to play with him because he really embodies this dungeon master figure who is just so happy to dismember you, and
Yeah. Not only
and
dismember you, but then also just go along with whatever like ridiculous idea somebody has.
right, yeah, and then dismember you,
Yeah, and
right,
then dismember you. Or
and that
twist whatever ridiculous idea you have and use it to dismember you.
right, yeah, and that's just it's all dependent at that point. That's where the mechanics jump in, and then he gets to take the story where whichever direction that the mechanics guide him in, and he's very skilled at that. And I would argue that you are as well. Um, you know, so going to that next, I would say, who are your inspiration? Who do you look to, like in media? Who do you look to, like as a friend, to give you that inspiration for the type of dungeon mastering that you do?
I mean, DJ is a pretty good inspiration. Watching him run games definitely like gave me the like push towards like wanting to DM more and kind of like his D&D room is so amazing, and I don't think I'll ever make anything on that level, but to just make my own space for when I have players come to kind of like transport them from being in the real world to kind of that fantasy setting and being surrounded by things that make them feel more in the world.
Hmm.
And then there's like the big name DMs like Matt Mercer from
Right.
Critical Role. Brendan Lee Mulligan is a huge one, especially if you're like looking for somebody who can, do that crazy, like whimsy ridiculousness and then also pull something very serious just out of nowhere. Like he's really good at that. So I love watching him like on all the platforms that he's on. And then going to cons, and just seeing like Frank Menzer DM or like when we played Maze Rats with Bear and Drop. He was
Yep.
amazing at just kind of like the way he kind of ran his game and just like how fluid it was just going person to person. I've never really seen somebody like kind of command a room like that to where everybody's having fun, but nobody is getting stuck on like talking about what they're going to do for like half an hour.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Um, so you like to have a game that moves a little bit more and doesn't kind of get stuck in the minutia of having the conversations about what might happen.
Yeah, and I mean that's really like a huge difficulty like being a DM is like you want players to, have the chance to kind of think of what they're going to do, but also like in the aspect of the game, like in the world, their characters aren't going to just be sitting around kind of, talking for 30 minutes about how they're going to attack this like bad guy in front of them and the bad guy's just going to stand there and not do anything. Like
Right. Yeah.
so you kind of have to it's a balance that you kind of have to play with a little bit and kind of find what rhythm you like. But
No, that
I
makes.
definitely like it when people get things moving and kind of, have those ideas come up on the spot. It's definitely a lot of fun.
Oh, for sure. Um, looking at it from the other side, right? So let's say you're a DM and you what are you kind of looking for in a player? Obviously, I'm guessing it's a very similar sort of thing where it's obviously you want to have um, kind of a similar outcome that you're looking for. You want to have fun in this specific type of setting, being whatever it is that you're doing. But the like, are there expectations that a DM and that a group would have for other players coming into a group, and what do you think those things are?
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely a lot of the same. You definitely want players who kind of are on the same page of kind of what game they want to play.
Mhm.
But then also like as the DM and the person kind of running the game, it's your room, so setting like kind of the ground expectations is a big part of like pre what you're gonna do for a game. Because like you want everybody to kind of know what they're getting into. So like definitely like setting expectations before everybody sits down to play is a big deal. And then just obviously you want players who are respectful and will respect everybody at the table. And that's again kind of the ground rules that you set like hey, if you have a problem or this isn't the type of game that you want to play or you want to do something different, like don't make a fuss of it at the table. If there's a break or something or like at the end of the game just like let me know if it's something we can, fix or it's not. Like we can either fix it or, it might not be the game for you and you can find somebody else who wants to run the game that you want to be in.
Yeah, I think that's yeah, I think it's spot on. And like I said, I thought a lot of it would end up being very similar in terms of what that answer would be. But so moving into kind of the actual gameplay portion, right? Like
Yeah.
um, you're exceptionally good at character development and the role playing aspect of it, and I mean that sincerely, having played with you a couple of times. Um, can you help me? Like, so when you bring a new player in and they're a little bit kind of in their shell, they're worried about what people might think of them before they step out of it and kind of embody this new character that they've never even considered embodying before, right? How do you encourage that at your table with some people who may not feel comfortable doing that at first?
I feel like if the DM just goes big, it kind of allows room for the players to, just expand a little bit. So like if the DM is doing some crazy kooky characters, I feel like that definitely can, get a player into it, just kind of being careful and like coaxing them out of that shell, really.
Yeah, so it's like showing them that they have permission to do it by as a DM,
Yeah.
and as other characters in the game. Um, do you like kind of playfully target some of those people to try to get them to kind of get wrapped up and involved in a situation or scenario that you're trying to encourage them to play part of?
Yeah, or a lot of times, like if there's a stronger like player at the table, you kind of engage with that person first and kind of set the tone, and then just kind of like try and draw that other person into it. And they're like, oh, these two people are having this in character conversation. The DM's doing this insane accent. Like, I could do a little bit of something.
Right. I in the shower, I've taken on a British accent. I've taken on an English
Yeah.
gentleman. Yeah. Um, so when you start developing these characters, like, because obviously, you practice them and you get better at them, you start incorporating other layers to their being and their existence. Like, how do you develop that character, and kind of where does the inspiration end up coming from as you start developing them and introducing them to the game?
I feel like a lot of times, well, I would say that there's two different ways that a character kind of comes to me. It's either like I start with an accent and then kind of build everything on top of that. Like, so this is what that character sounds like. Like, okay, so if he sounds like that, what's his job? Like, what are his mannerisms? Like, what does he do? Like, what's some like weird, quirky thing that I can add to this to make it, a little more interesting? Or you come up with a really cool idea for like the backstory of a character and build it out from there. And I feel like that's a lot of fun too, because you're like, oh, what if like, you know, he was like a religious fanatic and they all like basically like get their faces replaced with metal masks, but he breaks out of it, rips this mask off, like, and is now like a paladin on a quest to defeat these religious fanatics. Like, how am I gonna build on top of that? What is this character gonna be like? And I think like that kind of process is also really fun just because like it definitely touches more on like the serious characters that I kind of come up with. I
Mhm.
kind of start more with the background, whereas the more ridiculous is kind of like, oh, I can do a dumb accent.
Right. Can you give me an example of a couple of like each of those subtypes that you just talked about?
Well, like the Gravekeeper in the game that we played,
Yep.
definitely one of the ones where the accent came first. It's like,
Well,
oh
so
yeah, I can do an old timey like Gravekeeper.
and then make him just totally mischievous. Seem
Yeah.
unassuming, and then he's just points out everything that you're doing, and gets
And
you in
it's
trouble. And for some reason, he makes it through the end of the game with you, and you don't annihilate him.
And it's funny because that character was not originally in that game. It was a completely different character, and I was thinking, uh, well, the character that they have is kind of boring.
Yeah.
Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. My microphone went out.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I just have to switch microphones.
All right.
I think the battery died
Oh no.
on the DJI, but we're good. We can keep going.
But yeah, it was a completely different character. Was more like just kind of a background character that just kind of showed up and gave the quest off to the characters, and I was like, this person's boring. I'm gonna do somebody different, and it turned out really fun.
Yeah, no, I agree. It did. It made he made the whole quest really enjoyable because the comic relief for every scenario there he was.
Yeah, and it's like, well, because the original character was like definitely more serious, and they were like a priest or a cleric or something, and like
Mm.
you guys went to a graveyard to like fight undead and stuff. Like a cleric or a priest would know what's going on. Some like dumb gravekeeper is not going to have any idea.
Right. What the hell?
I don't know what all this stuff is. It just started popping out.
Yeah, and just that kind of that unassuming nature is what makes him lovable. Like I believe this character, and the skeletons started popping out of the ground. I'd be freaked out too, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it makes him very relatable, and then the accent makes it hilarious. Uh, and yeah, I really enjoyed that, man. And so let's talk about where kind of the inspiration for the campaigns itself come from. We talked about kind of character creation a little bit. We you showed me while we were playing kind of a book that you draw inspiration from. You kind of get a an outline for what what the one shot or what the campaign may be that you're going to play over a few games from the book, but then you kind of shape it to something that becomes your own story.
Yeah, super cool book that I got I think for Christmas last year. I think my sister got it for me. Um, One Shot Wonders by Hit Point Press. I think it's 100 plus just kind of one shots that are just in one book, and they're very simple outlines, kind of just like here's the scenario, here's a couple like secret things that you can kind of give to the players. Here's some characters and monsters that we have that you can use. And then you basically just run the one shot off of that, and all you really need is like the monster manual to get the stats for the monsters. But then I've started the current campaign that I'm running is like very episodic, using all of those one shots as kind of the episodes of the campaign, but kind of having an overall arc over everything. And that's been kind of really fun to do. A lot of world building off of like the little like 2 pages of world that they give you in like the back of the book. Like, hey, if you want to, use a setting for the campaign, this is kind of something we made up. And then just building off of that, and that's been really fun.
Yeah, I plan to get that book um, for my son because he's been running the games at our house. He's a better DM than I am, and so I recognize that, and I'm not afraid to say it. It's I'm really good at writing things. I can write them, but sometimes the like making it because I get so caught up in what other people are doing, and I'm like, huh, I'm supposed to do something again. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Let me think. you know, and so I'm sure you saw me do that multiple times because I'm just like, I'm just so happy that I'm getting the, I get to be there and kind of witness all, everything happening. And so I'm like, oh, I'm part of this too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a lot, it's a lot of fun. And I've only really had the opportunity to play a handful of times considering, we've been making the movie for about a year, and so most of the time I'm behind the camera watching people, and so my education has been watching people. And so now I'm sitting at a table. I'm not just watching anymore. I'm not the fly on the wall. Right.
Yeah, and I think the really cool thing about the book is it's coded towards like fifth edition,
Yep.
but really you can use it for anything. You just have to, change very minimal things, because all it is just giving you the story of what to
Mhm.
run.
Right.
So like if you wanted to just change the setting, you could run it in a completely different system if you wanted to.
Hmm. No, then and that makes sense because you're kind of getting a an arc.
Yeah.
You're getting a story arc or just a quest off of whatever main story that you've created, and you kind of plug it in anywhere because it's a scenario that could happen in any world,
Yeah.
right? And so that's kind of nice. I like that. Are there any other books that you might recommend to someone who might just be getting started? Um,
Um well, obviously you need like the DM's guide and the player's handbook for whatever system you're running.
right.
But no, the Monsters Know What They're Doing is another really good book. I forget the author's name, but it goes by like monster types and stuff, and basically just talks about like how these creatures would react to things in combat,
Right.
so that when you're running them, you kind of have those in the back of your head to make it seem more realistic to what you're doing.
That makes sense. Yeah. Because yeah, I've spoken to a bunch of people who are DMs, and the what's fascinating is a handful of them really consider the stats of the monsters a lot. Right.
Hmm.
They consider the direction they're looking in and whether or not they'd be aware enough with their intellect, with their wisdom to look behind them for something else. Right. And so they're like really considering this in all the decision making for the monsters that they're kind of embodying as the DM or the GM. So yeah, it's you can get really granular and like really start to embody that. And I imagine is that what that book kind of goes into more to help you kind of understand how to do that, to get in the mentality of these monsters that may be dumber than you or smarter than you, right?
Yeah, and it even goes down to like the simple things of like a pack of goblins. If these adventurers, kill like more than half of them, they're not going to stand there and keep fighting. Like they're going to run away. Same with like, people. Like if
Right.
they're losing, they're not going to stay there.
Right. They're going to retreat. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. You got to chase them or let them go. Right.
Yeah.
No, that's those are good elements. I mean, because otherwise it's just a smash and grab dungeon crawl. Um,
Yeah, and I think it's definitely a good resource for the DMs that aren't kind of that like tactically minded when
mhm.
they are running things. Because I mean, there's definitely a lot of really creative people who DM and do a lot of really good role play and stuff. And then it comes to combat, and combat just kind of drags because for them it's just numbers on the page. Okay, this person's now attacking, doing this. It's definitely helpful to kind of have that like knowledge in the back of your mind of how like monsters and animals and stuff will like react to what your players are doing. And it's definitely put in a way that's easy to digest.
Yeah. No, that's great. I'm gonna need to get the links to those
Yeah.
to put in the show notes and all that stuff because like I said, I'm going to buy it, so I need a link for myself personally. But also, for anyone else who might listen to this, it'd be really helpful, I think, for them to have that.
Yeah.
I know my wife and my son will enjoy having those references because I think they're going to be better DMs and GMs than me. um, and I think I enjoy playing more than I do doing the DM personally myself. But I do thank you for the resources. Let's talk about what you're up to personally. I know that you have a live stream that you've been on with our mutual friend DJ. Um, it's a riot. I had the opportunity to play with with your group a couple of weeks ago in person there in Savannah, and like you described earlier, it's a riot, right? So,
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about that, where people can watch it, and kind of what to expect uh, when they go and tune in and watch
Oh
this live.
yeah, it's an amazing game. It's run by David Johnson, owner of Undertone Effects. Does a lot of VFX work for video games. He was in Infinity Ward, worked on Call of Duty, was worked on the Halo games. Awesome dude, has an awesome D&D room. Everybody should look it up, go see it. Come play in the AD&D game if you're in the Savannah, Georgia area. He's a very open person. He'll let almost anybody come in, sit at the table to play. But it's kind of a walk through history game. We started at OD&D. I came in kind of the second module that they were running. We played OD&D. We've switched to AD&D now, and every week it's just like progressing through time. We're like in the early 80s right now. Every dungeon magazine that comes out in his timeline that he made, we add into the game. And then just everybody at the table just comes up with ridiculous ideas, ridiculous characters. It's a lot of fun.
And so, where can you watch this show? Is it exclusive to any specific platform?
It's on Twitch. I think it's Undertone DJ is his Twitch name.
Well, I'll make sure that gets in the show notes too. And then I know that you are planning on running games at some conventions coming up this year. Do you want to talk about where we may be able to find you and sit down and play a game where you, Christian, are running a game as a GM?
Well, I'll possibly be at EggCon and Gen Con. I don't think I'll be running anything, but if people want me to run things, I would be more than happy to, run something on the side if people wanted to.
Well, I will
Uh,
say this: I do plan on hopefully having you run a game at least at our Airbnb for friends and family,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
so we can film that too. Because again, it was a great time, and I think that more folks would enjoy playing with you. And I'd love to encourage you to go run games at some of these conventions too.
Yeah, Philadelphia area gaming expo,
Yep.
early next year, Martin Luther King Day weekend. I'm going to hopefully be running some games there. I know they started putting out their schedule already, but I'm gonna see if I can fit myself in.
Yeah, just have to send Ron a message. I'm sure he'd be more than pleased. I know, like Shadow Dark needs a bunch of people to run it. If you run that system anywhere, they'll pretty much let you in.
Yeah, such an
So
easy system to run to if you want to run something.
right. um.
Uh oh, and then possibly some charity things around Chicago.
Yep.
Haven't booked anything for that specifically yet, but have my eye on it and hopefully that'll be something.
Well, tell me a little bit more about what's happening. What's the charity and the cause?
Give me 1 second to look it up. Yeah, it's a charity. It's going to be put on by the Windy City Rollers, which is Chicago's premier and first women's roller derby team.
Oh,
But they
nice.
also run a nonprofit organization. So they're doing a D&D charity night. They're looking for DMs right now. I think it's in October,
Yep.
somewhere in the Chicago area.
That's rad. So, got to keep me informed because we will be in that area quite a bit over the next year or so. And so,
Yeah,
if I'm in the area, I'd love to come and hang out.
yeah.
And I mean that for real. I also love roller derby, so it's no joke. We have a roller derby team here too, and we at least not the past few years, but we've certainly spent a lot of time watching people get knocked down.
I've never been to a roller derby game before.
Oh, you should go. Uh, it's a lot of fun, and you get to see some really tough people push each other around, and yeah, it's rad.
Well, I watch hockey, so I feel like it's probably around the same thing. So
Oh yeah.
I'll
Hmm.
have to go give it a try.
Yep. Who's your team? Is it the Blackhawks?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a Nashville Predators fan, and so we hated you for a very long time, and then
Yeah.
we're not in the same division anymore, and so no more hate. We're fine.
It's all good now.
Yeah, it is. All right, Christian, man, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it a lot, especially joining me on a Saturday. You have your time off. You already gave me that time last weekend, and so I appreciate you doing it again, man.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. This is great.
All right, take care, brother. I'll see you next
Yeah,
time.
you too, man.
Thank you to Chrstian Stenzel for stepping into the dungeon and for reminding us that good storytelling doesn't need to be published. It just needs to be honest. Whether it's a world built on a single line of lore or a campaign shaped entirely by chaotic player choices, Chrstian makes space for players to find something real in the fiction. Next week, I'm talking with Kaylee York, a Navy veteran, grant writer, and one of the behind-the-scenes forces helping us get this filmed into festivals and onto bigger stages. We'll talk about the strange overlap between military service and nonprofit work, the joy of helping underfunded communities get access to resources, and why paperwork might actually be its own kind of magic. If you're enjoying the show, please subscribe wherever you're listening and consider supporting us on Patreon, even at the free level. Every bit helps keep these conversations going and helps us share the work of people doing amazing things with games, story, and community. Thanks again. See you next time.